Today we are making my favorite Italian dessert, the tiramisu. It's basically a dessert form of lasagna. This stuff is incredible. To begin with, I've got several chunks of dark chocolate, 2 shots of Tia Maria, 7 egg yolks, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of high-fat whipping cream, 1 package or half a liter of mascarpone cheese, however you want to pronounce it, a couple shots of espresso, as well as some ladyfinger cookies. To begin our process, we're doing a double boiler, so we have a pot with water in it with a bowl on top. Crank the heat. When the water boils, you're good to go. In the meantime, we're going to be making whipped cream as well. I'm using the stand mixer like a cheater, and it saves the wrist a little bit. We just let that mix away for a while. And then once our water is boiling, we put our bowl back on top, and then we add in our yolks as well as our sugar. And then we're going, at some point while mixing it, I added a shot of the Tia Maria, but I don't know where it is in the video. I'm going to simply mix this mixture with a whisk for 10 minutes. At first it seems kind of like it's not going to really go, but then it eventually creams out and it gets a lot easier. And then it kind of thickens up near the end, and there's some fancy name for this. I don't remember what it is, but it's a cool word. I'll have to look that one up sometime. And something I should mention is that you can put like half your sugar in the yolk mix, half in the whipped cream if you want, or do what I did and just dump it all in one, because we're all going to be mixing them and combining them later. Unless, of course, you want to put an extra layer of whipped cream on top, in which case you probably want to sweeten your whipped cream so that it's not boring whipped cream, whatever. You do you, I'll do me. There we go. And once that's all mixed and done and combined and enhanced after the 10 minutes or so, we simply take it off of the heat, and then we begin to mix in our fancy cheese. The mascarpone mixes in relatively easily, especially because the egg yolk mixture is kind of warm. I think that really helps. One of the tips that I was reading online said to keep mixing the egg mixture for a minute or two to let it cool off before adding the mascarpone, and I waited a little bit, and I think that may have done something, may not have, no idea. Nor more experimentation is necessary. Now we're going to fold in our whipping cream. Once you've achieved high peaks, or whatever they say as far as making whipped cream goes, your whipped cream is ready. So now we simply fold it in, which is kind of a take it from the bottom, throw it on the top type of thing. Now you don't want to overmix this because you'll reduce the whipping in the whipped cream, and then that's just no good. And if it's not completely mixed and there's still a little bit of streaks in it, no big deal. It looks nice, it's decorative. Just don't overmix it, because that can be problematic. And I'm just going to set this aside now that I believe I've hit proper mixture ratios. And then we're going to get started with the assembly. I got my espresso over here, but before we use this espresso, we got to throw in another one of those shots of the Tia Maria. If you don't have any shots of Tia Maria kicking around, it's always a good idea to use a nice harsh spiced rum or a nice brandy, something that will put hair on your chest or take it off. Strong stuff. Set that aside, and I'm going to be using a glass vessel. Now, there's a lot of different sizes of dishes you can use with this recipe, and it depends if you want a double layer or a single layer. And I'm going to be doing a double layer, so to begin the process, I take my ladyfinger cookie and I submerge it inside of the mixture of the espresso and the Tia Maria. There we go, nice and submerged. And then I'm simply going to be in the process of aligning them on the bottom side of my glass dish vessel. And life is good. You don't want to soak them for too long, because then they can turn mushy. And I guess you could just sprinkle them, but that would probably be very ineffective. So the full submersion, the quick dunking, and moving on to the next one after setting the first one down. It won't take very long until you have the bottom of your dish covered in your ladyfinger cookies. And then we're simply going to take our mixture of cheese and whipped cream and apply it to the top. I'm doing kind of a medium sized layer so that I can fit a second layer of cookies on. If you use a bigger cooking sheet than this, which I believe is the 9 by 3 or something like that. The bigger ones, the bigger cake pan thing. You can probably do one layer and then do a thinner layer of the topping, and that would be better for doing this recipe for either potluck or a family event of some variety. But I prefer the double layer because it's not twice as good, at least 7% better. I think having that second layer of ladyfinger cookies just adds a little bit to it. And once we get our second layer of our ladyfingers on, we're simply going to put the rest of our topping on, and then we are going to begin the final process. So now we are going to take our grater and grate that chocolate that we had at the beginning on top. Now if you're making this for an event or something and you're doing it like the day before, put your chocolate on the next day, because you don't really want to let your chocolate sit overnight. And the tiramisu generally tastes better after the first day of waiting or whatever. It kind of gets the fluids inside of the cookies a little bit better, and it kind of stabilizes. It's not really a make and eat dessert, it's a make the day before and eat dessert. Now I'm just using up my leftovers here in these 2 glasses, but it won't take long for me to figure out that I don't have enough for 2 glasses, and that I'm better off combining them into one. So I decided to make a giant mess all over the place and rethink my life and complain about just how awful this has gone. But it's okay. It's a sugary dessert in a single serving, a rather large single serving, but it's delicious. Give this one a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I think this is some good stuff. Till next time, please like and subscribe and stay awesome.